I'm Yaron Werber, biotech analyst at TD Cowen.
And I'm Stephen Ma, Life Science Tools and Diagnostics Analyst at TD Cowen.
We're here in San Francisco to kick off 2024, where we're going to be interviewing executives from biotherapeutic companies to talk about how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing drug discovery for autoimmune disorders and oncology.
I'll be interviewing Absci.
And I'm going to be interviewing Generate Biomedicines and Relay Therapeutics. So Relay is really one of the leaders in the artificial intelligence revolution in biology. What is it about artificial intelligence and machine learning that really expedites and makes drug discovery a lot better?
I think we're at an exciting time in the development of using AI and machine learning tools in the discovery of new medicines. It's really going to change things and open up a much broader target landscape and get medicines to patients that traditional techniques don't allow. We've seen this in all kinds of industries over the years, and I think we'll see the same in ours. A kind of incremental, slow revolution. We've seen it in retail, we've seen it in travel, we've seen it in how we communicate, and I think we're about to see it in our own industry of discovering new medicines.
You guys are at the vanguard of the AI revolution in biology. Maybe you can expand at a high level the potential impact of AI on the next generation of medicines.
Absolutely. Not only is AI going to be impacting drug discovery, but it's also going to be affecting drug development. In particular, what we're doing in drug discovery is being able to design drugs that are more efficacious, that have higher success in the clinic, and really using AI to design in best-in-class, first-in-class attributes. And we actually came out with really exciting TL1A data today that actually shows how we utilized our generative AI drug creation platform to create a potential best-in-class TL1A asset.
Generate Biomedicine is a leader in the artificial intelligence revolution of biology. What is it about AI and machine learning that expedites the drug discovery process?
What machine learning allows you to do is scour the entire landscape of potential proteins. So if you think about an amino acid protein, 200 amino acids, let's say on an average protein, there's 20 different naturally occurring amino acids. That's 20 to the 200th power of combinatorial possibilities for a protein. And that's something that traditional drug discovery just cannot access, whereas machine learning can. So by using machine learning techniques, you're able to get much better answers, and you're able to get them faster, and you're able to get them much cheaper than what is traditional.
How should we think about your integrated drug creation platform? How's it differentiated versus the competition?
We're a data-first generative AI drug creation company, and so we've developed scalable wet lab technologies that allow us to look at drug functionality that we can use to train our models, but then additionally be able to validate our models. So that same technology can both be used for training as well as validation. And that's really the key to the success that we've had, is that really tight integration between the AI and the wet lab.
When you're thinking about artificial intelligence and machine learning with the Dynamo platform, what's unique about the platform, and what does AI really do in drug discovery?
I mean, that's a great question. So there's a couple of things that are unique about what we do. The first is where we focus. We're not trying to discover novel biology, we're trying to make new medicines. And so that's where we're really focused on discovering how to modulate validated targets to do exactly what we want them to do, to discover novel starting points, and then to optimize those starting points into drug-like matter. And so if you think about that process of breaking it down into hundreds of little steps, the machine learning and AI tools that we have, combined with traditional experimental approaches, you could incrementally make every one of those steps better, and ultimately you make the discovery of a new medicine both more efficient and more effective.
What is unique about the Generate platform, and how does it really allow you to differentiate and develop a novel pipeline?
The first thing that's unique, I'd say, goes to people. So when I think about what Generate offers, it's really three different silos of integrated capability. It's the machine learning aspect, it's the experimental aspect, and it's the clinical therapeutic development aspect. And you really need all three of those in our minds to get the right therapeutics and the best therapeutics to patients.
What's really novel about Dynamo is using a supercomputer that can literally look at protein-protein interaction and simulations in real time. And that really is an evolution of what historically been a very sort of static, microsecond look at how one protein interacts with another, which really doesn't give you a lot of information. So you can really pick up a lot of information and new binding affinity and opportunity to design new drugs. How are you reducing that to practice?
I mean, you're exactly right, which is for many, many decades now, we've been looking at static images. And now we can now look at long time scale molecular dynamic simulations over biologically relevant time scales. And it's very similar to the industry of the moving pictures and the films. Remember, people were looking at just photos in the 18th, 19th century, and then suddenly now we're seeing four-dimensional movies. It's just going to revolutionize things. And so for us, for our RLY 4008 program, lirafugratinib, we used exactly this approach, where we have been able to solve a problem that the industry has not been able to solve before and create a selective FGFR2 inhibitor. And we did it by finding novel insights, by understanding the dynamic nature of the proteins.
So when you're putting it all together, can you talk about your pipeline and how these agents might ultimately be differentiated from the competition?
Yeah, so I think what's first differentiated is just the whole platform and the progress of the platform. We have now translated from our platform and 18 different programs. 2 of them are now in the clinic at this point. So we have 2 clinical assets, and the time frame in which we've been able to generate those clinical assets from initial variant set out of the computational model to the actual clinic ranges from 17 months to just under 2 years. And so the clinical assets we have are one is for SARS-CoV-2 for prophylaxis. The other one is for severe asthma, an anti-TSLP molecule. In addition to the other 16 programs that are behind that, we have some that are partnered with Amgen and MD Anderson and Roswell Park across a range of different modalities. Others where we focus are on oncology, infectious disease, and immunology. The nearer term pipeline that sits behind our anti-TSLP and SARS is in IL-13, a TL1 alpha, a flu molecule, a range of oncology products. And so I think the translatability of what we've done from the machine learning aspect to get to the pipeline really proves out what we're doing is differentiated.
Maybe you can put it in the context of your lead asset, ABS-101, which is a TL1A agonist. How has the platform helped you develop that candidate? What we did was we used our de novo design platform that we came out with earlier last year to be able to design in attributes that have potentially better potency, additionally have better half-life, so meaning like longer dosing intervals, and being able to go from IV to sub-Q in injections.
What are some of the challenges to building a company from the ground up using machine intelligence at its core? It's a very different concept than traditional drug discovery.
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges, we're talking about algorithms and machines, unfortunately, is actually people. And so the human component of this is very important. And so if you think back to other industries back into the kind of early part of the century, the reason why Kmart and Sears were not successful and Amazon, Etsy, eBay appeared was all around the culture and the people dynamics, which is, it's much more challenging to incrementally add some of these tools into a large organization that's very focused on traditional approaches than building up digital natives like ourselves. So I think the people component and the cultural component of joining the experimental and computational worlds is the biggest challenge.
What's the hardest part about developing an AI-based company? It's really that, again, going back to the integration, you have to have talent on the AI side that can understand the problem you're trying to solve. So you have to have AI experts that understand the biology, the protein engineering, and additionally, you have to have wet lab scientists that understand the data that's needed to go into these models. And I think having that fluency or being multilingual in both these disciplines has been something that's been really important to our success and is going to continue to help flourish Absci moving forward.
Generate Biomedicine is really at the forefront of this technology. What's some of the challenges to building a company for the first time with this kind of technology at its core?
I think there are probably 2 challenges, and there's more than 2, but 2 challenges that I'd highlight. The first, I think, is just the productivity of a platform like this is so great. Trying to determine which areas of that productivity are the best ones that you can prosecute, especially given capital demands of being able to prosecute so many programs at the same time. I think that becomes really challenging. Where do you allocate your capital and resources to be able to go down what the most value creative opportunities are? Because right now, frankly, it's across all therapeutic areas, it's across all modalities, it's across even things outside of therapeutics that could be real value enhancing for patients, investors, and frankly, the world. The second piece is just people. It's the integration of a technology company with a biopharmaceutical company, and what I talked about earlier with regard to kind of these 3 silos of expertise on the machine learning side, on the experimental side, and on the clinical side, to be able to find the people that have not only the expertise, but also the willingness to work across the breadth of those different disciplines, I think is really critical to make something like this work.
Well, as we wrap up a really busy week in San Francisco to kick off 2024, there are three main themes that emerge from all our conversations with management teams about artificial intelligence. One, the artificial intelligence and machine learning revolution is clearly underway, yet it's still early. Nevertheless, the technology is promising, and we're seeing many drugs now in early stage and mid-stage development showing promising results. Secondly, artificial intelligence and machine learning are already expediting drug discovery, uncovering novel targets, and powering up drug design. This is done at unprecedented scales virtually and being tested very rapidly in the lab with robotics.
Lastly, a key theme is that algorithms and compute power are largely commoditized. Investors should focus on companies that can rapidly generate relevant and functional wet lab data with which to train their algorithms.
We're certainly hoping for a much better 2024 for biotech and life science tools and diagnostics. Thanks for joining us. We hope to see you soon.